So that's where he's hiding. Sorry, Scarlet, ma'am, but I have to do my duty. Okay, Yankee, stick 'em! Up!
Yosemite Sam is the meanest, roughest, toughest, hootin'est, tootin'est, shootin'est Looney Tune north, south, east, and west of the Pecos, and the hilariously chaotic creation of Friz Freleng, devised to bring a certain spice to the Bugs Bunny cartoons of the late 40s. While Sam is most recognizable as a Bandit Cowboy or a Feisty Pirate, described by animation historian Leonard Moulton as Bugs Bunny's ultimate patsy, he is also one of the single most adaptable and versatile Looney Tunes characters, seen in scores of aliases and designs over the years, causing trouble for Bugs and many other toons along the way. In 2020, Yosemite Sam celebrates 75 years of troublemaking, and to celebrate I will trace his entire evolution right from 1945 to now. To do so, we will look at his entire history, touching on his numerous depictions seen across almost 8 decades of short, series and feature films. In this edition of Cartoon Evolution. As the world grew more violent, erratic, and unpredictable during the Second World War, so did the media emerging from Hollywood. While the war was still raging, motion pictures set during wartime became increasingly popular, and the cartoons produced by leading animation houses were no exception. Daffy Duck took the lead on the Warner Brothers front line, starring in a series of battlefield propaganda cartoons that were the result of a new formula that had arisen at the studio, which animation historian Michael Barrier refers to as a two-character conflict formula. This quite simply saw two characters going head to head in a simple yet exciting conflict, and was a clear evolution of the pre-war hunter versus prey shorts, with dialed up action, violence and gag work. Throughout the 40s, this formula was so heavily utilised that it leaked out of the war set shorts and into general Looney Tunes fare. Away from the battlefields, other stars like Porky Pig came up against worthy adversaries, while new characters such as Tweety Bird and Sylvester the Cat emerged through it. The formula allowed for more complex and story-driven and thus more interesting and entertaining cartoons, which Barrier said added narrative thread to gags which would have previously been presented as self-contained blackout pieces. As these films were easier and more convenient to produce due to their limited characters, it's no surprise that by war's end, the formula had become so commonplace that, as Barrier said, it dominated most of the Warner's cartoons. Along with other lead artists at Termite Terrace, Friz Freleng had been directing Bugs Bunny shorts since the early 1940s, and in this new landscape of cartoons, he began looking for new ways to spice up his appearances, believing that the pre-war hunter versus prey cartoons were incredibly tame compared to those produced under the new formula. Prior to 1950, Bugs' main adversary had been Elmer Fudd, the dopey, chicken-brained hunter who was constantly tormented and terrorized by the overly wacky rabbit. Having appeared in 10 shorts together, Freleng likewise felt that their pairing had become stale, saying, "Elmer was just too dumb. He was naive and childish, and Bugs outwitted him. It didn't take much brains to outwit Elmer. Sometimes you felt sorry for Elmer. He'd break down and cry. He wasn't really a villain. He was a pitiful character. He had a duty to perform as a hunter. He had to go shoot a rabbit, but there wasn't a mean streak. He didn't really like to shoot the rabbit. You wondered why you didn't hate Bugs for what he did to him." Believing that Bugs came off as a bully when placed opposite Elmer, Freleng moved away from the pairing and pitted him against more malicious and complicated foes, in hopes of creating a new recurring antagonist who would actually be worthy and deserving of his attention and rivalry, while working within the conflict formula. For 1945's Hair Trigger, Freleng and writer Michael Maltese debuted a character who fit the bill perfectly. A gun-toting, loud-mouthed, boisterous, volatile, hostile and egotistical bandit, with a beard as fiery as his disposition and a stature as short as his temper. He was topped off with an enormous 11-gallon hat, comedically compensating for his shortcomings. All round, he was a character so enormously insane you couldn't help but laugh at him, and one you so desperately wanted to see Bugs annoy the bloomin' heck out of, simply because he deserved it. Initially, Maltese considered names like Wyoming Willie, Texas Tiny, and Denver Dan, but eventually settled on Yosemite Sam, named after the picturesque Yosemite National Park, an iconic haunt of cowboys and bandits in the American Old West. In creating the character, one of the biggest influences was Sheriff Deadeye, a similarly loudmouthed and boisterous cowboy character performed by comedian Red Skelton on radio and later television. In various shorts, Skelton's famous Deadeye routines were even directly parodied. Performing for Sam was of course the man of 1,000 voices himself, Mel Blanc, who drew enormous inspiration from Deadeye's gruff and booming vocalization. Blanc had used a similar voice previously for the villain in Tex Avery's 1939 cartoon, Dangerous Dan McPhoo. Other characters that Freleng and Maltese were inspired by included the terrible-tempered Mr. Bang from the Toonville trolley comic strips of the early 1900s and its short-lived mid-1930s cartoon series from Van Buren, as well as the characters played by James Finlayson in various Laurel and Hardy comedies, often loud-mouthed, egotistical and incompetent foils of the star duo. A number of volatile bandits appeared in Warner's cartoons soon before Sam's debut, showing that a cowboy antagonist was something the studio was keen on at the time. 1943 Chuck Jones' short Super Rabbit was the first to pit Bugs against a two-gun slinging sheriff, though one less stylized and fickle. 1944 Freleng short Stage Door cartoon saw Bugs outwitting Elmer by dressing up as a bad-tempered sheriff who looked very much like Sam, with a large hat and mustache, though in a black outfit. And 1944 Robert Clampett short Buckaroo Bugs saw Bugs up against the dim-witted Red Hot Rider, a character dressed very similar to Sam, same colour scheme and all, also said to be inspired by Deadeye. While not Sam, these characters can certainly be seen as influences or prototypes. However, no matter how much influence this all had, many believe that the main inspiration for Sam was Freleng himself. Not only was he a reasonably short Midwestern man with a large nose and bright red hair and mustache, he was also said to have a flaming hot temper. Various artists, including Maltese, attested to this over the years, noting that he was prone to the occasional Sam-like outburst and temper tantrum, as did Freleng's daughter, who agreed Sam was likely a caricature. Freleng, of course, never confirmed this, though never denied it either, once telling a reporter, "I have the same temperament, I'm small and I used to have a red mustache," and saying to another, "What makes a good animation director? Well, you have to be that character. My personality must come through. It has to come from me. That's why nobody can ever do Yosemite Sam the same as I did." An alternate take on Sam's origin came by way of Chuck Jones, who in his memoir Chuck-a-Muck wrote about his great uncle, who he described as a retired Texas Ranger who was short, had red hair, a large mustache, and a hair-trigger temper. Though, given Jones had nothing to do with Yosemite Sam's inception, this should be taken with a grain of salt. Sam practically debuted in his finalized design. However, a few small discrepancies are notable. Here, his large eyelashes aren't connected to his mustache as they are in later shorts, and his bottom lip is exposed, appearing as if he simply has a large mustache but no beard. The bottom lip, however, wouldn't be covered for another 6 years. He also appears with a large black belt and silver buckle rather than the more common brown and gold respectively in later shorts. Following his first appearance, Sam disappeared for a short while, with Freleng not utilising him again until 1947's Along Came Daffy, the first of only 2 Golden Age appearances where Sam wasn't pitted against Bugs. Sam's absence, however, was well and truly made up for, as the short featured 2 Sams, with the introduction of his twin brother, essentially appearing in the same character design but with black hair. Sam appeared again in 1948's Buccaneer Bunny, now depicted as a pirate by the name of Seagoin' Sam, with Bugs now pestering him on the high seas. The original cowboy Yosemite Sam, however, reappeared later that year in Bugs Bunny Rides Again, with Bugs once again up to his hijinks in the Old West. Following these appearances, Freleng turned Sam into the recurring villain he'd hoped for, featuring him in up to 3 shorts every year for the next 16, far eclipsing the number of Elmer's appearances in the same time. Strangely enough, while the cowboy Yosemite Sam has become the default, most recognizable version of the character, this iteration only appeared in roughly half of his 33 classic appearances. He appeared twice more as a pirate, in 1950's Mutiny on the Bunny under the name Shanghai Sam, Sam, and in 1954's Captain Hairblower, simply as Sam the Pirate. Funnily enough, the name he is best known by in parts of Europe. However, he also appeared in a vast array of different professions and aliases, with Freleng using the conflict formula to its full effect in a variety of settings around the globe. By uniquely adapting and hilariously miscasting Sam to each changing narrative, Freleng opened the possibilities for fresh and original gag work, to avoid the character going stale, as Elmer had. Some of Sam's various personalities included Prison Guard Sam Schultz, Sam Bon Sham, the Hessian mercenary, Prospector Chillicoot Sam, Square Deal Sam, Colonel Sam, Riffraff Sam, Roman Captain of the Praetorian Guard Sam, the Black Knight, the Duke of Yosemite Can, the alien Yosemite Sam of outer space, Indian Chief Renegade Sam, Viking Sam the Terrible, Royal Chef Sam, and German fighter pilot Baron Sam Bon Spam. In 1951's Rabbit Every Monday, he appeared in a wildly hilarious parody of the hunter vs prey trope, with him in the Alma role, showing the true potential the formula had with the right character. While Sam's outfit changed in most appearances to match his newly found personality, one costume element remained persistent: his black domino mask, kept to obviously define him as an outlaw no matter what form. Sam quickly became one of the most beloved Looney Tunes villains of all time, with his over-the-top personality winning audience favour. Unlike Elmer, Sam was intelligent and learned from his mistakes, though it was his arrogance and egotism that constantly got in his way of success, determined to beat that pesky rabbit at all costs. Freleng said the things that happened to him were the fun of the picture, not what happened to Bugs, because nothing could happen to Bugs, he caused it all. Moulton observed, Yosemite Sam seemed to inspire the best in Freleng and his able gag writers, and Barrier noted, Freleng honed the two-character conflict formula to a kind of perfection. The character dynamic was such a hit that 1958's Nighty Night Bugs won them an Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film. Sam's pairing with Bugs was so popular, in fact, that other than 1947's Along Came Daffy, he only ever appeared in one other classic short without him, 1962's Honey's Money, a remake of the earlier Daffy Duck short His Bitter Half, but with Sam in Daffy's role. The short also took elements from the earlier Sam and Bugs short Hair Trimmed. Throughout the classic era, every one of Sam's appearances were directed by Freleng, except for Ken Harris's 1959 short Arabian Nights, an economy cartoon which recycled animation from previous ones, and 1964's Dumb Patrol, directed by Jerry Chinicki, Sam's final appearance in a classic Looney Tunes cartoon. Because the Freleng unit had exclusive control of Sam for nearly 20 years, other units that had wanted to utilize the character had to improvise. Most notably, in 1949 short Mississippi Hair, one that could have easily been a Sam Bugs joint, Chuck Jones debuted Colonel Shuffle, a loudmouthed, gun-toting southerner who finds himself run afoul of the blasted bunny. When the Warner Animation Studio closed down in 1964, soon after the release of Dumb Patrol, Freleng and Warner executive David H. DePatie formed their own animation house and leased Warner's animation plant as their headquarters. Not before long, Warner's decided they wanted to continue releasing cartoons theatrically and contracted the pair to continue the series. While Daffy, Speedy Gonzales, Wile E. Coyote, the Roadrunner and Sylvester were regulars in these low-budget limited animations, Freleng spared Bugs the shame and discontinued his usage. Along with him also went Yosemite Sam. That, however, didn't stop Freleng from using Sam's model in the very first DePatie Freleng short, 1964's Pancho's Hideaway, starring Pancho Villa, a character often referred to as Yosemite Sam's cousin, and one which could almost be confused as one of Sam's many aliases. Major differences here are the character's Mexican accent, brown beard, yellow hat, cream shirt, and black pants. Other than that, it's almost a direct copy of him, temperament and all. Likewise, unused concept art from the Seven Arts era of Warner Brothers, who took over the Looney Tunes in 1967, shows a proposed character named Jolly Roger, a volatile pirate described by many as a rip-off of Sam's swashbuckling persona. Outside of the Looney Tunes shorts, Freleng and DePatie's 1969 cartoon series Here Comes the Grump used Sam as the basis for its title character, a short, grumpy wizard with big, bushy red eyebrows and a red mustache, whose wicked plans and schemes were continuously foiled in outrageous comedic ways. Also notable is the Grump's pet dragon, who bears more than a passing resemblance to Sam's dragon from Nighty Night Bugs. Here Comes the Grump was recently adapted as a 2018 CG animated film, released as A Wizard's Tale in the USA. Sam's influence was so far-reaching that many believe he was the basis for short-lived Sesame Street character Sinister Sam, who first appeared in 1971. As the Looney Tunes moved into a new era of TV and film, Sam made regular appearances over the following years. 1960s The Bugs Bunny Show, which repackaged Warner's shorts for TV, often featured Sam and Bugs cartoons, with Sam additionally seen in a number of newly animated wraparounds and in the show's opening sequence. The program aired until 2000 under various names, with the classic shorts remaining a regular staple. The popularity of the Bugs Bunny Show led to a series of primetime TV specials between the late 1970s and early 1990s, which took on the same package format. Sam's shorts were featured in a total of 9, most notably including 1978's How Bugs Bunny Won the West, which bundled 3 Sam and Bugs shorts, 1981's Bugs Bunny All-American Hero, and 1989's Bugs Bunny's Wide World of Sports. Additional specials not only included classic shorts, but also newly animated linking segments featuring Sam, 1980's Bugs Bunny's Mystery Special, where he's hired by Porky as a bounty hunter, and 1982's Bugs Bunny's Mad World of Television, where he's seen pestering Bugs for a starring role on TV. 2 brand new shorts were additionally released direct to television starring Sam, 1978's Bugs Bunny in King Arthur's Court, where he took on the role of Merlin the Magician and for the first time teamed up with Elmer Fudd to destroy Bugs after he causes trouble in medieval Camelot, and Bugs Bunny's Christmas Carol, as featured in 1979's Bugs Bunny's Christmas Tales, where he took on the role of Ebenezer Scrooge in a loony retelling of Charles Dickens' classic novel. Likewise, a series of theatrically released movies spawned around the same time. Freleng's 1981 film, The Looney Bugs Bunny Movie, spotlit a number of Sam's classic shorts. Bugs Bunny's third movie, 1001 Rabbit Tales, featured newly animated segments where he appeared as the Arabian Sultan Yosemite Sam, and 1983's Daffy Duck's Fantastic Island saw him in his pirate role, this time hunting Daffy and Speedy alongside his first mate, Tasmanian Devil. In Disney's 1988 live-action animation hybrid film Who Framed Roger Rabbit, he made a number of cameo appearances in his classic cowboy design. Firstly, seen being shot out of Toontown with his biscuits burning, and later alongside fellow Looney Tunes and various other cartoon characters in the film's finale sequence. Although Sam was never quite put front and center during this period, he was given dual star billing in the successful Yosemite Sam and Bugs Bunny comic series, which mostly depicted him in his pirate form and ran between 1970 and 1984 for 81 issues. One of Sam's first major appearances in the 1990s was in yet another TV special, 1992's Bugs Bunny's Creature Features, which showcased brand new short Invasion of the Bunny Snatchers, where he appeared in a self-referential role as one of Bugs' movie co-stars. He additionally starred in a number of new theatrical Looney Tunes shorts, the first since the 1960s. 1995's Carrot Blanca, a parody of Warner's classic 1942 film Casablanca, where Sam filled the Major Strausser role as General Pandemonium, and 1997's From Here to Eternity, the first and only Sam and Bugs team-up to be directed by Chuck Jones, which saw the return of Sam's pirate identity, this time with the alias Buccaneer Sam. Throughout the 1990s and early 2000s, Sam also made various cameo appearances on TV. Numerous episodes of Tiny Toon Adventures saw him as a teacher and principal of Acme University, and much like the other Looney Tunes, he even had his own protege, Montana Max. Also worth noting is the appearance of the Sam-inspired Colonel Shuffin as a prison warden in one episode. In the Animaniacs, he featured in the Warner's 65th anniversary special, noting that Wacko, Yakko and Dot's nickname for him is Itty Bitty Baby Man. and Back in Style, which saw him alongside an animated Freleng, both of whom share a similar voice, an obvious allusion to Sam possibly being based on him. He additionally appeared briefly in a number of Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries episodes, as well as in its 2000 spin-off film Tweety's High-Flying Adventure. Baby Looney Tunes saw him in a babified design as Baby Sam, a minor character. He appeared in an alternate design in the Duck Dodgers series as Space Pirate Cachucha Sam, a recurring enemy of Daffy's Duck Dodgers. And in Lunatics Unleashed, his futuristic descendant, Ophiuchus Sam, is seen as an enemy of Bugs' descendant, Ace Bunny. Sam also featured in the 2000s webtoons, both as himself and under various aliases: Sasquatch Sam, Scotsman Sam, Yosemite Sushi, Security Guard Sam, and Satellite Sam. Film-wise, 1996's Space Jam saw Sam teaming up with basketball superstar Michael Jordan and other Looney Tunes regulars as a member of the Toon Squad, most notably seen briefly pairing with Elmer once again for this memorable moment. In 2003's follow-up film, Looney Tunes Back in Action, he appears as a casino owner and secret Acme Corporation operative. Following Back in Action's poor box office reception, a number of new Looney Tunes shorts were pulled from theatrical distribution and released direct-to-DVD, including 2004's Hair and Loathing in Las Vegas, in which Sam is once again seen as a casino owner in a classic game of wits against Bugs after he builds a casino over his rabbit hole. Sam also appeared in 2006's Bar Humduck, A Looney Tunes Christmas, as the Ghost of Christmas Present, in yet another Looney retelling of Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Despite appearing in many guises, Sam hadn't really undergone any major redesign since his first appearance, but come 2012's The Looney Tunes Show, he was given an overhaul. Here he appeared mostly in his classic design and colour scheme, but was given a clean modern edge. He was presented as one of the primary antagonists of a suburbanite Bugs and Daffy, whom he lived next door to in a rundown house. He was seen less so as a dangerous foe and more so a mooching pest with a bad temper. In true Looney style, the show also depicted him in a number of odd professions, including driving instructor, drink salesman, ship captain, and late night talk show host. He also briefly appeared in the Looney Tunes show spin-off film Rabbit's Run. Sam was stylized and overhauled once again for 2015's new Looney Tunes series called Wabbit in its first season. While his costume remained mostly the same as classic appearances, with a different hat, full face mask, and different colour scheme, he was made a lot shorter and stumpier with a larger, more pronounced nose. Essentially, everything that was exaggerated about Sam in the original shorts was embellished even further. Once again, he was depicted as a primary antagonist for Bugs, and though he appeared in his cowboy look in most appearances, he occasionally took up different guises, including a sultan, a rough rider, a smoothie barista, a riverboat captain, and as Yosemite Samson, in a parody of the biblical Samson and Delilah story. Sam's twin brother, now named Yosemite Jack, also stars in one episode. He shares the exact same design but with a blue hat and yellow shirt, and has a much nicer, cheerful personality. Currently, Sam is appearing in HBO Max's Looney Tunes cartoons, in a design similar to his classic style, where he's once again pitted against Bugs in a series of classically inspired conflict shorts. Sam has only appeared in a small number of shorts so far, most notably one where he's seen as a theme park ride operator. While his aggressive nature is still intact, and the gag pieces he appears in are incredibly violent, many took issue to the fact that he is no longer depicted with guns. While these are inherently important objects to the character, it's worth noting that he hasn't used them since the early 2000s webtoons. Sam is also expected to appear in HBO Max's Tuned Out, an upcoming hybrid project produced by Roger Rabbit's Robert Zemeckis, and in the upcoming 2021 Space Jam sequel, Space Jam: A New Legacy, starring LeBron James. While Sam has been stripped of his weapons in more recent years, he still remains largely unchanged, and he continues to persist as one of the Looney Tunes' most versatile characters and most beloved villains. Freleng's revolutionization of the conflict formula with the Sam and Bug shorts not only inspired his later Sylvester and Tweety pairing, but also helped define the much beloved structure of the Golden Age Warner shorts of the mid-40s through 60s, leaving a lasting mark on the Looney Tunes franchise as a whole. And at that, it's over to you, varmints! I want to know, what is your favourite Yosemite Sam appearance or alias? Blast away in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. If this is your first time viewing one of my videos and you'd like to see more like it in the future, then please don't forget to hit that big old subscribe button up on your screen, as well as that like button down below for that little extra support. Also, don't forget to check me out on social media, and please consider supporting me over on Patreon. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic day.